So we're in our 2021 F-150 XLT PowerBoost Hybrid, and the hybrid system itself is pretty neat, but I think a lot of people have the impression that it's going to save them tons and tons and tons of gas, and that's not really the case. So we'll drive it a little bit here, not on the highway, but just around town, to show you what it does. So when you first put it in drive, you'll notice that it does not necessarily have the engine running unless it's warming up or for some other reason, or maybe charging the battery. But if the battery's charged and the engine is warmed up, which it is now, the engine won't start even when you put it in drive. And then when you let off the brake and it starts going, it'll drive itself for a little while, you know, quarter mile, half mile before the engine turns on, or until you really get on the gas. But you're also going to notice it's got a gear indicator, and it's going to cycle through the gears. So we're in first gear now. We're just trying to get out of this parking lot here. Okay, so you saw the engine just came on. But now we're going to come up to a stop sign. Engine might continue to run. Nope, it cut out. And you saw the indicator there, it said 97% energy return. I guess it's trying to compliment you for not jumping on the brakes. But then you start again, and again, for about the first 3 or 4 or 5 seconds, until you really get on the gas, it's going to drive itself using battery power. And then as we get ready to come up to a red light again, you'll see that the engine's going to cut out. I'm off the gas, I'm coasting, I'm on the brakes, and the engine is cut out. And so what it's doing now is that it's doing regen braking to the greatest extent that it can. It doesn't get on the regen very hard when you let off the gas the way a Tesla does. When you coast in a Tesla, it will immediately start to regenerate, and or what you might call engine braking in a car when you downshift into a very low gear. There's a very, very strong amount of regen in a Tesla the instant you let off the accelerator. In the Ford, no, it's going to do more of a coasting type sensation. You're not going to feel it regenerating. And then when you get on the brakes, yes, the brakes have an electric assist, and they will combine regen with the mechanical brakes based on whatever the computer thinks it wants to do. And it's not going to tell you what. And some people have criticized the way the brakes feel because it's a little bit unpredictable. How much engine or how much electric regen you're going to get on the brakes versus how much mechanical braking action you're going to get. And we don't mind. It's not a sports car. We're not trying to get the absolute best brake feel we possibly can. It's not spongy, and it's not super touchy either. So we just don't mind. Okay, so we're going 35, 40. We're getting ready to get off this road here. So again, we let off the gas, start to get onto the brakes, and it's gonna coast, and then the engine's gonna cut out. And then once we make the turn into our parking lot, we're applying a little bit of throttle, not enough to make the engine want to turn back on. And so when you're in a parking lot, when you're going very, very slow, it could drive itself for, I don't know, 10, 20, 30 seconds. But it doesn't have a ton of electricity stored in it, in the battery. It's only 1.5 kilowatt hours. It's not meant to be able to drive the vehicle for any substantial amount of time. The way a Tesla does. A modern Model S Tesla has, 100 kilowatt hours of battery capacity. This has 1.5, so it's only got it can only store, roughly speaking, 1.5% of the electricity that a Tesla could store. So it's not going to drive you 10, 15, 20, 200, 400 miles the way a Tesla can. Sorry, there's a bunch of warnings that come on when you put it in reverse. I'm not sure if you can hear it, but there's like a little beeping noise that it makes. I'll put the window down. Yeah, you can hear it now. When it's backing up and when the engine is off, it's gonna make a little beeping warning noise, so that people know it's coming up on them. It does not do that, I don't think, when it's driving forward in electric mode, but it does do it when it's backing up in EV mode. And you've also got all these cameras. You got 360 camera, which gives you kind of a bird's eye view of the vehicle and the obstructions around it. And then you've got the reversing camera. The split screen's kind of nice on the big 12-inch screen. But again, there it is. One thing we weren't able to see was that, I'll put it in drive briefly. You see the gear indicator there. It goes from 1 to 10. When the vehicle is driving and it's in electric mode, especially when you're slowing down on the highway, you know, from 80 or 70 or whatever to get on an off-ramp, the engine will cut out, but you'll still see it, the gear indicator going from 10 to 9 all the way down through 6, 5, 4. And if you start to get back on the throttle, it will drive itself in EV mode in like 4th gear, and then 5th gear, 6th gear. You know, whereas a Tesla doesn't have, you know, different speeds. It's got one speed because the electric motor, you know, can make its max torque at any RPM. In the Ford, because of the fact that the motor is connected to the transmission, the electric motor, the transmission is still going to cycle up and down through its gears. I think that's just to make it less abrupt when the engine comes back on. So the electric motor will actually drive the vehicle in 2nd, 3rd, 5th, 6th, or 8th gear, what have you. Which is different than the way a pure electric vehicle operates. Anyway, it's pretty transparent. Again, you shouldn't expect that it's going to save you a ton of gas. You're going to get, you know, you're going to get pickup truck gas mileage for the most part if you're driving it like a normal truck, especially if you have a trailer. We got maybe a 3,500 pound trailer hitched up to it. It's not going to get much better than you see there. 10.3 over the course of mostly highway mileage at, you know, speeds around 60, 65 miles an hour, maybe 70. If you're above 70 miles an hour, your gas mileage with the trailer is going to be well under 10. But again, you didn't buy a pickup truck to save gas. You bought it to actually do work for you. Anyway, hope that is a little bit more of an explanation as to how the EV mode operates. It's pretty seamless as to when it turns on and when it turns off. And as long as the stop-start feature of the engine is actually reliable and doesn't crap out after, you know, 20, 30, 50,000 miles, you know, there's not much not to like about it. All right, well, thanks, everyone. Have a great day.